What you hear tonight can and may be controversial and has been looked to be the exorbitant topics of the world. For the hidden truth of the unknown is a mystery for some, or is it all just a conspiracy? Welcome to Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond with Christina George.
Good evening, everyone. This is Christina George, and we're here for another episode of Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond. Tonight I have a couple great announcements and a super great show for us, everybody, tonight. My first announcement, as many of you have probably seen through social media, for those who have not, I now have brought in, due to my health and, wanting to have some additional input, I have brought in not only a good friend of mine, but one of my lead investigators of PPRS's UFO division, Rene Chavez. So he is from here on out going to be my co-host every Wednesday night for the show. And Rene, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, welcome so much to Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond, and your new home at DTM Wicked Radio. It's going to be amazing. I am so excited to, start hitting all of these topics for the new year, and boy, we've got some great shows lined up. What do you think?
I think so, especially with all the excitement since New Year's.
Awesome. All right, and tonight, many of you have caught a few shows that I've had Lord Rick Rowe out of Lake Tahoe, California. He is a paranormal investigator, a ufologist, a cryptozoologist. He's just very much like me, just a male version. And boy, oh boy, I have got a chance to really get to know Rick, and I couldn't have found a better friend who is more knowledgeable, and, you want to talk about a true researcher and investigator. He is the epitome of what that is all about, because he is out there in Lake Tahoe, hiking and investigating and all kinds of things literally every day, as well as being, a great father and husband. And, so we're going to talk to Rick tonight, and he actually had caught a video of a UFO on New Year's Eve that was not only captured on video by Rick, but many others all the way up and down the West Coast. So we're going to, obviously we're a radio show, but we're going to be posting the videos in chat so people can take a look at them, as well as on the Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page. We'll be posting it there as well so people can check some of them out. But this is not the only time that Rick has, captured UFO video. He has, a YouTube page which, gets tens of thousands of hits, and, a lot of people, know him, as well as in the Google Plus community. He's got some groups on there as well. So it's going to be a great show. I do want people tonight, and I posted this on social media, if you have witnessed, whether it be, in California on New Year's Eve, or actually anywhere in, the U.S. or around the world, we are seeing a definite, increase in sightings. And we're going to talk about tonight, what does all this mean? Are these, alien ships? Are they from our government that are back engineered to try to trick us? Is disclosure or contact, imminent? We're going to be talking about all of that. If you've got questions or you want to report, your sighting, have something to say, tonight our number is going to be 713 area code 955-0384, as well as if you're on, if you call on that number and you're just listening live, that's fine. If you need to ask a question or want to, come on air, you do need to make sure that you push number 1 on your keypad. That will transfer you to our amazing host, Tiffany, tonight, and she will make sure to get you on. We're also in chat. If you have any questions you don't want to call in, make sure to put them all in caps, and we'll make sure to get to them and get them answered. So once again, welcome everybody. Welcome chat room, already building up, and we've already got, people on ready to go. So let's get this started. Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thanks so much for coming on the show again. I didn't, I said I wanted to get you back on soon, but I had no idea it was going to be this soon.
I know, I'm becoming a regular.
I know. Hey, that's not a problem. Anytime, I will always use my shows to, give some credence to your work, get the information out between you and I, our fan base, and I don't like to say fan base, but our listeners and our friends, because that's what they've become in our family, there are many. So, I love to team up with like-minded people who are true researchers that are not out just to get a name out there or for fame or fortune. It's just about getting the information out and making sure it's the truth. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
So let's start. I want to start right off the bat with New Year's Eve, because I've been saying for a little while that, and Rene can tell you, that I was expecting that after, the beginning of the year, we were going to see a really super big increase in sightings, and we track them at PPRS, and Rene is in charge of that, and it's just been off the charts, but especially here in our area. So take us to that night, and I know you got a lot of videos, but take us to that night and explain to us what you saw and what you were doing.
Well, see, the thing is that I live on the edge of the wilderness, in the Sierra foothills kind of, and I have been checking since my first UFO sighting a few weeks ago out in this region, just this area in particular. I've been looking out over and over and over again, sky watching basically. And New Year's Eve, I was sitting there, just playing a game, video game, and it's just a weird feeling I get. It's like I can almost feel them. It's I can't explain it to somebody unless you're me. You'd understand. And I looked out, and there it was, just right out in front of my house. It was it had a lot of orange and red in it when it pulsated, but it also had a lot of other colors in it. Not as many as previous UFOs caught in December that I had captured. And I went because Tammy, she's on my team too, and so she's been following the sightings on the government site, the National UFO Reporting site for UFOs and things. And government, of course, you cannot count on what the government says, because they sit there and they'll come up with the story. And they said that the sightings in Sacramento and northern Nevada was a Chinese lantern, which is a bunch of BS, because Chinese lanterns don't pulsate all kinds of colors, especially when they pulsate about 3 colors per second and the spectrums of the colors blend. That's usually a good sign that it's a UFO. But the object was very high in the sky. It wasn't very far, maybe a couple miles from my house, and I could see it up there with my naked eye. I didn't need a zoom lens to see it, but of course, if I see it, I'm going to film it. So I, quickly ran, grabbed the camera. I had my camera charged. I've been charging my camera every single night because rural Nevada is getting hit with mass sightings of UFOs. And so I don't know if it had something to do with New Year's. Obviously, there's a lot of people out on New Year's, and maybe these objects are showing themselves because they want mass amounts of people to see them. And, of course, Reno, I live about 50 miles from Reno, 45 miles, 50 miles, and they have their own little New Year's celebration where there's thousands of people on the streets. So people in Reno, by the masses, were reporting exactly what I seen. Something with a lot of red and orange. But it also had other colors if you study my video. So that's how you know it's not a lantern. Besides, if you know engineering and mathematics, you can take what I do is when I film with other objects to put the object ahead of us into perspective. So you can calculate the size of the object, distance of the object, the height of the object. And we do that by filming maybe the house across the street, or a piece of my roof, or the tree, or the street light that's lit up, so people can kind of see that this is not just some little balloon in the sky. This is a large object. And so that's what happened. I went out there, I filmed. As a paranormal investigator, you got to be ready to go at the moment. Just like if the apocalypse is ready to occur, I'm ready to react to the apocalypse. And that's in case of an alien invasion, you know. And that does, just because I see it on New Year's doesn't mean they're invading. But they are showing themselves. And that same UFO that was seen in Reno was also seen around the Sacramento area, which means that given its height, it could have been depicted in multiple areas within a 200-mile radius. And, of course, that's why I got it on film, because it was so high above the hill, I was able to see it and film it. And so that's pretty much what happened on New Year's Eve.
Wow. I mean, and that's very interesting that you say about the Chinese lanterns, because I was actually contacted by a good friend of mine in the paranormal that is located in Oregon. And he actually did he asked me, he said, well, you know, have you seen the video? And I said, yeah, I've not only seen that video, but I've also seen another one that was sent in to us as well, and they're starting to come in. And he said, well, because a lot of them, you know, are said to be Chinese lantern, and we did this whole, you know, example, we taped, you know, sending up a Chinese lantern to, you know, show what it looks like and everything. And I said, absolutely. And he said, would you like me to send it to you? And I said, absolutely, because I want to, you know, not only put out, you know, the videos that were sent to us, you know, and where some people I don't know, I do know you. You have no reason or any kind of, you know, reason to lie about this or anything like this. And when you do this long enough, you know the difference between Chinese lanterns and an actual UFO. So I want to put up all of the videos so that, you know, people can see that, yes, you know, there are people out there, just like in the paranormal, where people, you know, use these fake apps, and there's actually UFO apps that you can download on your phone now that will put a UFO in your picture. But this is not what that is. So I'm really glad that we've got all of this so we can put it all out. Rene, I know you're there, and, you know, you as well were contacted by some people in the local area of Sacramento, and actually even got a video sent to us as well, right?
Correct. It was a couple of friends of mine that were in the Sutter area, as they were coming from the area where Beale Air Force Base, and they were noticing that it was off to the western sky as the sun was setting, and they said it wasn't a plane reflecting light from the sun as it was going down, but it was pulsating, and it stayed up there for quite a long time, and it wasn't like the space station or anything else like that too. So when they were videotaping it, it got to the point where it actually disappeared. So apparently it either ascended or stopped illuminating or anything. So it's pretty interesting video, and I think I sent that to you too. What are your thoughts?
You know, I actually, once again, when I saw it, you know, it's pretty high. Not to say that Chinese lanterns can't go, you know, high, but I also could tell that there was very erratic, you know, movement to it. So people have to remember that, you know, a Chinese lantern, yes, they're going to go up there, and a lot of times when we see these so-called, you know, quote-unquote, like, fleets of, you know, UFOs, and we'll see that they're all kind of in a line or in a V, and, you know, they, you know, start to move slowly all together, and then, you know, they start to slowly, one by one, go out. Those are the kind of things you see with lanterns. You don't see them zipping back and forth and all over, and that's something interesting. Rick, on your video, was this thing, you know, just completely stationary, or could you see it, you know, moving from left to right, or anything that would, you know, make you think that this, obviously, other than the color change, was not a Chinese lantern?
The object was hovering, and it seemed like it was moving more towards California at the time. I could have filmed that object probably for another 15 minutes, but I promised my family that I would kind of let the aliens go for one night because they think I'm nuts. You know, I'm looking out my window every time for aliens. I'm like, they're going to come and I'm going to go take a ride to space. They think I'm joking about that, but I went out there and I filmed a brief video just to document it, because I have better videos than that were taken in the past few weeks, way better than that. And from what I could tell, that was no lantern. I mean, you know, when you're an expert in the field and you know what to look for in the sky, you know what a helicopter is, you know what a plane is, and you certainly know what a lantern is. That was no lantern. It was moving kind of like it was hovering, but it was moving very slow towards California. And this may have explained why there were so many California sightings of the object, because that's where it was heading at the time.
Right.
And, you know, it could have been leaving Nevada to go to California. And, of course, then, you know, you hear, I mean, that day alone, around New Year's, there was multiple states, multiple news stations that had mass UFO sightings, and a lot of it that was described was of the same object. And it may not be the same object. It may be there might be 20 of them that are able to give off the same luminescence and might be the same size, shape, everything, and they might just be seen all over the United States on New Year's, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, that could be so, because we're seeing, you know, not only just, you know, in California, like you said, but all over, you know, the state and all over the world. I mean, Germany's been having some, you know, crazy sightings as well, and, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And so many of them, you know, do look very similar. Obviously, they're not all, you know, the same craft being seen at the same time, but it gives a little bit more weight to, okay, you know, people are seeing them a lot more. Last year, I think, was probably exactly the same. We saw a incredible spike in sightings. And so, you know, this year I feel is not going to be any different. But one of my questions is, you know, and for our listeners too, and I really would love for people to call in tonight. Whether you know, believe that they are actual, you know, alien craft, you know, if you think it's, you know, the government, you know, that they are reverse engineering and trying to make us think that we're going to have this terrific invasion. If you have a question or you just don't know, we're okay with that. Like, you know, everybody is welcome to their opinion, and you can ask questions or have your own comments, but we do enjoy the feedback, and this is what it should be about. You know, instead of people fighting in the field on what's right, what's wrong, let's just put the information out and talk about it and see what we can figure out. You know, that's what's important here. Now, Rene, so, I mean, obviously you know, for our group, keep tabs on, you know, all of the different sightings. And, you know, just within the last 8 days, you know, we've talked about this. They're just, I mean, they're everywhere, right?
Right. There was also a sighting even at the O'Hare Airport. Once again, flights were told to stand down for a while until they figure out what this craft was. There was also the sightings down in San Diego, also on New Year's, was also showed multiple crafts. It started off as being one craft, and then it broke up into several other crafts. So it could have been like the same craft that we all been seeing up here in Northern California, and then as it went further down south, that it detached itself and it became, you know, like multiple ships. So I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what it is, if it's the same craft that everybody's seeing, but it definitely caught, you know, everybody's attention. And it kind of goes with the predictions how the year was going to start too. So this could be the whole big thing that we're going to be seeing this year.
well, do either of you, because, there have been so many hoaxes out there,
Right.
Now we know that last year in Canada, for a publicity stunt, the Aerospace Museum had, created this whole, hovercraft type of, UFO, and, they put it out over that baseball game so that everybody could see it, and, that was like hit the internet and just went viral, and then later we find out that it was all a publicity stunt. Then recently we had the crop circle that
right.
the computer chip company, had created as a hoax as well as promote, publicity stunt. So, we do know that, there is quite a lot of technology now. Even a lot of these, I don't want to say drones, but these, what are they, Rene? The ones with the lights and everything.
Yeah, the
used by remote control.
UAVs?
Yeah, the RC. Yes.
Yes. So people now are taking and they're putting, the different lights and stuff on, and they've got a floodlight. So it's like when you get them up high enough, like you can illuminate them, and then you can turn the lights on, and then all of a sudden you can make it go dark and things like that. So, we all know that, this stuff is all available. But I think that it would be pretty damn hard for everybody, to all of a sudden one night across the world decide, okay, well, we'll all go and invest in these types of things and, equipment, and we'll go out and make this, big conspiracy together to think everybody's, seeing UFOs. So, I mean, how much credence do you, and this is to both of you, we'll take Rick's opinion first, and then Rene, why don't you chime in? But,
Sure.
What are your thoughts on these things, and do you think that could be, an explanation for any of these?
I do think that some of the UFO sightings are hoaxes or misidentified craft. I don't think everyone is a hoax. I've seen UFOs. I photographed them. Ever since I moved here, I live in the Sierra Triangle now, which comes from Reno to Vegas to Fresno, and so I've photographed UFOs near me and my son during the day, but it's only been the past month where near my house we've been getting visitations of these things. And I know it's not somebody with a UAV or drone. And I know it because I can study the footage frame by frame. I've had experts with PhDs try to dissect my film. They've dissected all four, and they said there's just nothing they could tell to show that it's hoax, that it's a hovercraft, that it's a UAV. Yeah, there are people that do publicity stunts. They're after fame, they're after fortune. But see, the thing is, people that do hoaxes, once they're found out, they lose a lot of respect, And anything that I do, I want the respect. So I would never say, hey, I got a Bigfoot body, here, but and shove guts in it. And because I know that science can explain a lot of things, even these UFOs, even if they're real, genuine UFOs, the films can be analyzed to tell if they're fake or real eventually. And that's the thing. So, on New Year's, all this UFOs, all these mass sightings, it cannot just be a group of people going out there with a $250,000 UAV, because they are very expensive. It's not like a little remote, remote control helicopter for $30. I mean, these things can reach heights of 12,000 feet, which drones, they don't really fly that high. And the Federal Aviation Authority or whatever only allows drones. You can own one, but you cannot fly it above 400 feet. And I have mountains near me that are 12,000 feet, and when I see an object above the mountains, I know how high it is. I know that ain't no drone. So you have to say, yes, some are hoaxes, but then you have to look at some things in a logical manner and say, you know what, that's a craft that I cannot identify. I mean, it doesn't mean it's alien. It could be alien. It could be government. We don't know. But it's a craft that does not belong in our skies, or that's new to the skies. And, ufologists, we're here to try to debunk this kind of thing. And sometimes we cannot debunk the craft that we film.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that is so true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. because when I do a lot of research on a lot of videos, and also follow closely what the government does as well when they do their experimental crafts. We have to recognize too, us being in California, we got Beale Air Force Base where they got some experimental aircraft there, and also further down south by Fresno, and then and even further in Southern California, on the bases out there. So there's a lot of things that we have to really pay attention to, and how they use these crafts to be able to tell if they're ours or something that's extraterrestrial. Because there's a lot of stuff that we use that's been back engineered, as Christina brought out. So it's really hard to tell on who exactly they are. But yeah, you could definitely tell about the RC remote control stuff, and they're pretty easy to spot and figure out how they work and everything. So they're very limited.
Well, you would never see a lantern or an RC remote control type of thing miles and miles away. It'd be too dim. It wouldn't have enough light on it anyhow. And see, I filmed 4 objects in about a 3-week time span. And of course, I've been sky watching in the same area every night. I've also, besides filming the 4 objects, I've also seen 4 sightings so far I could not film because they were either too low to the hillside, too dim. But, these things in my area, they're not just above the mountains, they're also landing. And when they land, you just, they disappear behind the hills, or they disappear behind some houses, and you can't see them. And so I think when I was on December 12th filming, I think that I interrupted an alien abduction because it landed right behind a couple houses, and I was thinking somebody's getting abducted tonight. It's not me, but somebody is.
Interesting.
So
interesting.
You got to use logic. The problem is, it was kind of strange because when I filmed on December 12th, the footage, the news, the Nevada Appeal put out a story, "Are UFOs in our skies?" And they had some guy write the article, a ufologist, looked up his name, could not find him anywhere. So I contacted the editor, and I sent him that YouTube video, and I said, I'll give you an exclusive interview, and I'll tell you my entire story. And then a couple weeks later, the same craft returned. Same colors, everything, same strobe, same pulsations. You have colors that you would not normally see on any craft. You have lime green, aqua, gold, white, blue, dark blue, violet, purple. There's about, I could take my footage on the 12th and my footage on the 28th, frame by frame, and I can count at least 30 to 50 different colors that this thing strobes out. So I wrote the news editor or whatever. Of course, they ignore me. They always ignore me. Even when I got a ghost photo, they ignore me. I don't know what they got against me, but the guy had posted in the newspaper, the guy that wrote the article and the editors and all, about the UFOs in the rural Nevada skies. And I was thinking, you got all this whole article you have about sightings, but there's no evidence. I was the only one really to get evidence. One other guy got evidence, and he made the biggest mistake of his life. He took that evidence, he uploaded the video on the government site, and when we looked on the government site, the video was no longer there. And the government, it made the Reno News. After the newspaper, it was on the Reno News. Are the northern Nevada skies being invaded by UFOs? Well, the government issued a statement and said, we have identified all these sightings in the area. It is a falling, burning satellite, Comet Eisen, or Venus. And I sat there, I said, no, because on the 12th, I seen it land behind some houses. I also seen it pulsating quicker when it decided to ascend and take off to orbit. And the thing about it is that I went to the alien landing site, and it was weird because I found like a 21-inch diameter circle. I took measurements with my measuring tape. I took my son and his friend out there in the foothills, and we hiked, went out there where the object landed, seen the impression in the ground, and in the snow were all these little footprints about 8 inches long, no toes or nothing, but they were footprints, and, you know, right from where the circle was made, like something landed there, exited the craft, walked around a little bit, got back in, and shot up into space. And the thing is, every time I film these objects, because I have UFO footage from the past few weeks that's as long as a half hour long, and I'll take a break because my arm gets sore, and I have nerve problems with my broken bones in my neck, so they shoot down to my hands and stuff. So I'll take a 5-minute break, and I will come in and I'll grab a drink or I'll grab something, and that object's gone. It's like, where did it go? The moment I stop filming it, they take off. So I don't know if they know I'm filming them, if they want this type of publicity. It could be quite the possibility. But it all started on December 12th, and the news doesn't want to post my evidence. They just want to go with the government-issued statement that it's Venus and Comet Eisen. And it's, comets have tails. We know, Venus comes out in the daylight. Right before dark, you can see Venus. It doesn't flicker or anything. It's a planet, right. So therefore the light on it, the color spectrum is solid. And, falling, what a falling satellite looks like if you've ever seen them. When they come through the atmosphere, it's just a bunch of burnt-up material. You see a bunch of fire. Looks like a fireball, but the pieces that are burning up, you'll see them falling to the ground. That's not what we have filmed. And they don't want to put this evidence out there. The media is being controlled by the government. And, of course, absolutely. When I posted 2 videos on my Google communities, and both of them disappeared. Somebody has power to do that. And it wasn't my moderators, because I only had 2 moderators. They're really good friends of mine. And I sent out the video, 2 of the videos, to about 30 groups, and only 2 of the groups had them. But the other, 28 groups, the videos were missing. And my friend said I would post them again, and that's exactly what I did. I posted both videos. And then, of course, came the New Year's footage, and then the January 3rd footage that I got of the mothership or whatever. So I don't know what's going on here, but I believe the government's covering it up. If it's their craft, why would they fly it near places that mass amounts of people could see? What would be the point in that? And why would they lie to people, try to treat people like they're stupid? Because, see, I looked at sightings in this area. Actually, Tammy does my research as far as sightings go, and everything I have filmed, on the dates, the times, everything, other people came forward. The only difference is they didn't videotape it, but they described exactly what I caught on film. And the government is telling these people BS. They're feeding them BS, and these people are buying it. They're like, oh, okay, maybe it was Venus, maybe it was Comet Eisen. But you know what? I have it on film. And if you watch it for a half hour, you'll realize it ain't no burning satellite, it ain't Comet Eisen, and it certainly is not Venus. It is a UFO. So maybe contact's being made. I don't know. Maybe contact's been made a long time ago, and maybe the government is just suppressing it from its people. But, if they don't release it, someone like me will. And, of course, it can be people like me can be threatened, too. Like I said, my videos were removed. And I had a black vehicle pull up the other day at my door. Some strange guy was at my door. And it was a pitch black vehicle, probably government. They're just, because I am in defiance of what they are putting out. They're putting out one thing, and I'm like, no, you are lying to the people. You are not telling the truth. It is not Comet Eisen. And so, when you take all 4 of my videos and you put them all together, it's like an hour and 10 minutes of UFO footage. And so you start to realize that, hey, wait, he might have something here. And they don't like that because the Reno News dismissed it. Of course, after the government went on their website to make the huge announcement that all the UFO sightings and all the people seeing them are all just misidentifying things in the sky. And it's like, I'm not misidentifying it. I went to the landing site my first time around. And then the object returned December 28th, New Year's Eve, and then a different object, completely different, on January 3rd of the new year. So the UFOs haven't stopped being sighted in the 2014. As a matter of fact, in the last week in 2014, they're continuing to make the news, and they're continuing to increase. So yeah, I mean, something's definitely going on here.
Yeah, I completely agree. We have a caller, actually, who is waiting online to ask either a question or have a comment, so we're going to go ahead and put him on.
Okay.
If you can go ahead and put Tom through. Just a second. Tom, do we have you on the line?
Yes. Can you hear me, Christina?
I can. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry, my computer is really old, so it's just, I don't know how it sounds on the other end of the screen, so I want to make sure that you can hear me, most importantly. That's the first thing. You and I have been friends for a while. You know, I've had my own encounters with UFOs, which I don't talk a lot about because even my dad, he tells me I'm just trying to find answers. But I feel that it's safe to talk about it here. And I'm wondering, is it all right if I talk about a specific UFO event?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I know you won't plan in this, but I mean, I know a lot of people have trouble remembering every day of their life, but sometimes, for some reason, there are things that you do not forget. And I wonder if anybody remembers what they were doing on the night of March 13th, 1997, because if you were like me, you were waiting to see Hale Bob come over. It was going to fly by the Earth at the time. However, that night, I remember getting a call, and it was by somebody who I always called the General. And I swear I'm not making this up for attention or anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out the answers, like I say. He says that he wants me to come out to Phoenix, Arizona, which is a place that I spent a good chunk of my childhood. And Mom said that it's all right. She says that she's been expecting the call. He comes to pick me up. They come in a blue van. The windows are tinted, but they're so tinted you can't see in. And I climb into the van. There's a woman there as well who's also a doctor. She's dressed in a lab coat, has short blonde hair. Nobody says anything. We drive out to what appears to be like a military base, and it's just turning dusk. And once there, the General shows me a craft which is like the largest triangle-shaped craft I've ever seen. There's also military personnel there from who knows where, I have no idea. He orders everybody aboard the craft, and I am the last to board the craft. Once aboard the craft, there are computer monitors on the right and left. It's dimly lit. There's a chair in the center, which is where the pilot's going to sit. And I walk toward the chair. I sit down. There's a helmet connected to it. And I'm not sure if I'm describing this right or not, because it's so long ago, but when I put on the helmet, it's almost as if the craft can scan my mind, because it would take orders from whatever I'm thinking. And they order me to take the craft over the city, and so I do. Once there, they order me to turn on the lights, and I do one by one. Then at one point, they ask me to take a break, to take a walk around, and one of the military personnel shows me something that I never forgot, which was they had these small windows about round in shape, and he showed me the Hale-Bopp comet outside the window, and it always felt like I saw the Hale-Bopp comet from above the city, but I couldn't explain it. And felt like I was so close I could touch it, but I couldn't because they ordered me to get back in the chair, and I'm ordered to land the craft, and I take it back to base, and they put it back into a hangar, and I am taken home, and I asked the general what this was all about, and he explained to me that whoever comes to work for the program is promised proof that they were indeed there and that this was my proof, even though this might not make sense now, tomorrow, or years from now. And I told him that he was right, it didn't make sense. The doctor leans over and she asks me if I remember the day when I asked her why they picked me, and I said I do, and she promised she would explain it, and she says the reason why they picked me was because they knew through being able to travel through time that I would be the first one to survive everything that had happened, and that years from now people would hear of it. And while I haven't written about it because I still don't feel like I know everything that's gone on, but then they say that this was my last mission, and they, say their goodbyes, and I don't think anything of it until years later when we get a computer and I see something called the Phoenix Area Lights on YouTube, and it's like I know everything about it, and yet I didn't see it at the time, but it's like knowing information about something without anybody telling you. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense, and for some people, and we've discussed this many times, because we have had so much, disinfo that's been put out and been told that, none of this stuff exists and all these kind of things. It was very easy, to give certain information to, people because nobody was going to believe them. It's very interesting because, I've been investigating and interviewing people for, the last 10 years about, abductions, contact, things like that. And, I find very credible a lot of what you say because there's a lot of people who as well report these same kind of things. Rene, as well, I mean, you personally know about, some of this stuff and the reporting, of, like you said, what was in the craft and, the different, kinds of computers and how they do it, to you, does it sound familiar?
It does. They have ways of communication that, that are like thought patterns. They're able to create holographic images, only that you would be able to see it. You could actually get messages directly to you that it's almost like a 3D communication. You could be in a crowded room, and you could be the only one that actually will see it. So the technology that's there that they use, even the government has been using this for back engineering too, and that's what I think is all part of what the Bluebeam, Project Bluebeam is all about too.
Right. Well, Tom, thank you, number one. I know that, you haven't had a lot of opportunities to listen to the show. I hope that you'll stick around with us and listen to the full show. But thank you so much, as always, for having the courage to share your story.
And thank you for having me on. I just, I can understand why some people wouldn't believe me, and I wouldn't even think it was real, but, at one time my father said to me, just out of the blue, he asked me if I remembered going to this program when I was a kid where these two women would pick me up, and to me it was like Champion Summertime, and I was remembering two women, both who looked identical and had a German accent, but I didn't think he knew anything about it. And now, even now, it's like just little things that I noticed that just seems out of the ordinary, but yet I've taken for granted because to me they seem like everyday normal things because I'm so used to it, you know.
Right, absolutely. Well, as I always tell you, the truth is ours, and we cannot make everybody, believe what, we have experienced or what we know. But I will tell you, there is a time that is coming, and I believe that it's going to be very soon. And, there is going to be no doubt anymore.
I just want to add to that, because this may sound crazy, and I don't mean to say that like it's a bad thing, but I call it a dream, but I don't think it's a dream. It's just a while ago I had a night where I spent it alone, which does not happen to me a lot, and it felt like I had a visitation, but I wasn't positive, and the psychic did confirm it. But the thing is, the same people that I was telling you about contacted me, so I'm not saying that they were aliens, I'm saying more like humans, but what I'm saying is they were warning me that a great evil was coming to the planet, and I'm not saying that it's true, I'm not saying that, I'm trying not to jump the gun here, let's put it that way, but what I'm saying is, if it's true, what's interesting is they say that I will be reunited with the people from the program again, and I'm really wondering if that's what's happening, because, I mean, I was the youngest of the group then, and I'm still young now, and I really do try and look to see if these people are still out there, and, just because everything seems so long ago. Can you understand that?
Yeah, and I'm getting, your connection is really bad, so I'm only getting bits and pieces of what you're saying right now.
Okay,
but I definitely believe that, when they do come, there are many of us that, do have our star families out there, and, that we will be reunited with them. There's so much that, we don't remember unless we go through regression and things like that. So, but I think you're right on, and I think that what you're getting, what you've been told, you need to take that as truth until it's proved otherwise. So, my advice to you is definitely keep your head up, and we'll just keep waiting. But I think that a lot of these answers are going to be very clear very, very soon.
I hope so, because right now my mind is like a Rubik's Cube all mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
But,
it's that way for many. You're really breaking up, so I'm going to let you go. If you have some more questions, feel free to put them in the chat room, and we can answer them from there, because we're only getting just a few of the words that you're saying. So, but thank you so much for calling in. I so appreciate that you're listening and that you feel safe enough, on our show and in our chat room to discuss these topics. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So, there you go, Rene. With Tom. I mean, obviously he has some memories that, have been coming back for a while. And it's something that we hear kind of a lot lately when we're talking to a lot of people, where whether going through regression or just starting to get, parts of information where they are remembering being in some type of program, or, traveling back and being told information. Do you think it's all connected, or, what are your thoughts?
I think it's very connected, because even myself, in growing up, based on my own experience, I would get these flashbacks of places that it's definitely not here, and it went on for many years, all through my high school years, and I would go into a meditative state and actually see that other place, and I was a part of a whole different community that's out there. And when it got to the point where I received my regression, it's just like an open floodgate just opened up. And right from that point on, I knew exactly what I was, how I got here, it also connected with my other past life that I had before that. So it's just like a big puzzle that needs to be put together and put into some kind of perspective and understanding, why I'm even here, and how I can help, the public as much as I can, those who are having similar situations, people who have trouble sleeping, saying that they have these experiences or these strange dreams. So I try to help them to connect with that. So it's not easy, but because it's dealing with, the person's emotion, their mind, and try not to make it too uncomfortable for them.
Interesting. Rick, have you had any conversation, being a researcher yourself, have you had conversations in, your paranormal or your UFO groups where, people have, been sharing stories about, being given information and stuff like this?
Here's the thing. A lot of people, they look at my group and they see what's on the outside, but on the inside, a lot of people are writing me privately and they're asking me to keep their confidentiality, and they're telling me stories about UFOs, about being abducted. I had a guy write me about 2 days ago. He's moving about 4 hours from me. He says he'll come up and hike with me. Pretty cool guy, but he's they're an older couple, and they had an experience where one night they went to bed, and they were sitting there just getting ready to sleep, and the room starts shaking, and he says that the door swung open, and there was this 8-foot-tall being standing in the doorway, and he says all he remembers from the experience is that they couldn't move. They could see it. They couldn't move. They were like in suspended animation, and he says he felt like they warped him through the ceiling, like they lifted him and he went through the ceiling. And so when I seen the UFO on the 12th by the houses, I do think that an abduction was occurring. And, I had a guy that was really rude on my channel. He's like, what are you, in a wheelchair? You can't walk? You can't go to the site? I could have shined my spotlight on the craft. That's how close it was. I could have got in my truck before it broke down recently. I could have got in my truck, could have driven right up to the road, right where the UFO is. But I got so into filming this thing. It was like being mesmerized, It was like I'm not afraid of aliens. You want to take me to space? Take me to space. I'll learn about your culture. I'll teach you about my culture. But the problem is that a lot of these abduction experiences for people been horrifying. When you're in bed and you're relaxing and the door swings open and you got an alien entity standing there, you're in trouble. You lose. It's what's scary about it for these people is that these people are losing control. They have no control with these beings. Just like August, about 4 or 5 a.m., turn into bed. The sun's coming up over the mountains, and I could see the huge peak outside my house. And I just remember I was sitting there up wide awake, and I had an hour of missing time. And it scared me. Like I was back in bed, but I jumped. And all I could remember from that is that my son and I were on some kind of table. That's all I remember. And I'm okay telling people that because these beings are so technologically advanced, not just their brains, but the things that they can do with these craft. Like these UFOs can fly into a volcano, fly into a tornado. They can fly into the sun and come out the other end. This is technology thousands and thousands and thousands of years far beyond mankind's means. And our government is keeping it a secret because they want to harvest the technology so they can use it as a weapon of mass destruction. And with UFOs, if you're hovering in the sky and you're technologically advanced, you can basically spy on mass amounts of people at the same time. You could spy on governments, dictators, countries. You could hack all into their computers, and there's so much you can do. And that's why the Russians in the 1950s, the Soviets, they were shooting them down. They wanted the technology, and I think that our country was in a race with the Soviets on who would get the first UFO, the first alien beings, the first anti-gravity technology. And then in the 50s, if you could go look it up yourself, but the Americans built UFO craft. They could not get them more than 5-6 feet off the ground. They couldn't get them to travel no more than like 15 miles an hour. But now they've had 50 years to perfect that technology. So are some of the UFOs government? Yes. Are some of the UFOs alien? Yes. Is abduction occurring? Yes. Not in every race, though. I mean, some races may come here to take, earth samples or soil samples, and they might come down here to, I've always thought that some of them come down here to feed. And that is why we have thousands and thousands of people that vanish without a trace. And that I looked it up the other day because in the news there was a guy missing. And he's an Indian guy, lives on the reservation, which isn't too far from me, went out into the mountains where I seen the UFO, went to go get some firewood, came up missing. They found him dead. They didn't do an autopsy. They said they assumed he died of natural causes. But that doesn't explain the missing couple that vanished. I think that there's abduction where they return you and they want to experiment with you, and then I think that you become the main course on the menu. And, I've heard of some stories. You got some stories. There's a story about a guy going underneath the New York City tunnels, and he goes deep down, like into the hollow earth, and he sees these aliens, dead bodies of humans, and they're processing the humans into this yellow enzyme, and they're digesting it. And, I do believe there are aliens that are hostile, and I do believe that we continue to, our Air Force jets continue to chase these things and shoot them down or try, that could spark an intergalactic war. And people are like, Tammy says, you watch too many movies. I doubt, she's like, I doubt alien invasion is going to happen. I feel otherwise. I feel that an alien invasion is in our future, and I think it's sooner than later. I don't know if it's this year, next year, 10 years from now, but as long as the sightings increase, that means more and more ships, more and more aliens are coming to this planet, and that means we are outnumbered. We could shoot the most powerful nuke at a UFO, and it's not going to even put a dent in it. And technology, intelligence, technology makes you the apex predator, especially when you are on Earth. If you have that technology and that intelligence, you're going to look at the human species like we're a bunch of cattle, like it's the Pilgrims and the Indians and the Pilgrims or the Spaniards and the Aztecs and Mayans. They're going to arrive. One of these days you're going to wake up, you're going to look outside, you're going to see a mothership that's probably the size of our moon hovering over Earth, and there will be nothing you will be able to do about it. Because they could be friendly, yes, but if you're an alien, would you help the human race with famine, disease, war, murder, rape, theft? All these things going on. How can you work with another species when that species is unreasonable? We're the unreasonable ones. They're the ones coming from across the galaxy because they've learned to coexist with each other, because you have to coexist to travel the stars and the moons and the planets and the solar systems and the galaxies. You have to learn to move past that. Humans haven't learned, they haven't gone past that. Instead of focusing on us going to Mars, going to other planets, we're so busy wrapped up in war and building bigger and better weapons. They got that new railgun that the military developed. I don't think that UFOs really want to, if they land, I don't think they really want to work with humans. I think that they study us because they're interested maybe in our politics or maybe in human emotion. But I get people that write me all the time privately. They're like, I believe they're here to help us. Well, if that's the case, they had already helped us a long time ago. They have the ability to cure cancer. They have the ability to cure disease. So why haven't they done it 10 years ago when there was mass sightings over Los Angeles or other parts of the country? Why haven't they done it? Because we're unreasonable. And so that goes with the recent statements made by the Minister of Canada, who said, as long as we are warlike, we will never have their technology. They will not share their technology with us. And as far as abduction goes, to some people that's a personal thing. So they contact me and they tell me their stories, and and some of them are very, very scared. They're not like me. You know, I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. But the thing is with me is that this is what I do. So I will purposely try to get abducted just to get on board one of those ships, you know, because that's me. But these people, they don't want nothing to do with it. And in case in an alien invasion, if you're in a major city, you're screwed. You're totally screwed. If you're on, like me, I live in a small town below Lake South Lake Tahoe, you know, I'm below the snow line, so I could go into the woods and you wouldn't find me. I could create a rock shelter, millions of granite rocks, and I could take my family there and we could hide for months. And in case of an alien invasion, they're not going to be looking in the Sierra Woods or the Pine Nut Mountains. But people that are major cities, mothership comes by, boom, city wiped off the map. So this is something, obviously, there are signs of alien invasion. If they're willing to take humans, they're also willing to go to war with humans.
Oh, that is, I think you are right with what you're saying. We're going to actually take a quick break since we're at the top of the hour. But when we come back, I do want to talk a little bit more about these disappearances because this is something that has actually been happening for a very long time. But I have a very interesting story, that I was privy to, and it's now out there, now, and, if you search for it on the internet. But it's very, very interesting, and it really did kind of connect the dots, so to say. So let's go ahead and take a short break. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, everyone. Go ahead, and if you want to get something to drink or whatever, we'll be right back. And we'll go ahead and continue with this amazing discussion on UFO sightings. Are they real? Are they not? Is contact imminent and disclosure? We're about to find out. All right, everyone, we'll see you in just a few moments.
The Caring Coaching Center is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio Network. What would it mean to you to have better health, more energy, more vitality, and an all-around better life? At the Caring Coaching Center, our mission is to be your partner in helping you reach your health, fitness, and lifestyle goals. We do this through a dynamic 6-month program that helps our clients reach their goals and their full potential. And it all starts with a free, no-obligation, 50-minute health history consultation. Just visit us at the www.thecaringcoachingcenter.com to schedule your free consultation today. Or you can go to www.dtmwickedradio.com, click the sponsor page, scroll down to the Caring Coaching Center tab, click on the tab and open up to the website to start your free consultation today. It's all here on dtmwickedradio.com.
Rolling Hills Asylum. Located in East Bethany, New York, just minutes between two major airports, Rolling Hills Asylum is a hotbed of paranormal activity. They have been featured on Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Challenge, as well as Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. Rolling Hills Asylum has been named the #2 most haunted location in the United States by HauntedNorthAmerica.com. The property was established on January 1st, 1827, as the county poor farm. Throughout the years, it has operated as a poor farm, infirmary, orphanage, tuberculosis hospital, nursing home, and more. Past residents and inmates consist of widows, orphans, physically disabled, mentally unstable, murderers, and more. Over 1,700 bodies are buried in unmarked graves, and hundreds more deaths went undocumented. Rolling Hills Asylum is known for a plethora of phenomena, including disembodied voices, doors slamming, footsteps, sounds of furniture moving, full-body apparitions, shadow people, ghostly touches, and numerous Class A EVP. Rolling Hills Asylum proudly offers historical and flashlight tours, 4- and 8-hour public ghost hunts, 8- and 9-hour private ghost hunts, and more, by appointment or pre-booking only. For more information, please visit www.rollinghillsasylum.com. That's www.rollinghillsasylum.com. Or give them a call, 585-502-4066. That's 585-502-4066. Rolling Hills Asylum. What are you doing this weekend?
Dreams Code Magazine is a proud sponsor of DTMWickedRadio.com. In Dream Codes Magazine, you can learn all about ghosts, orbs, sleep paralysis, and more. Go to www.dreamcodesmagazine.com to order a subscription and learn more.
All right, everybody. That was a nice, quick break, and we were having some technical difficulties with Rene's connection, so we're going to be trying to get him back on. So, Rene, if you are listening, I think Skype may have been the issue, so we're trying to call you on your phone. If that's not going to work, please send a message to Tiffany, a private message to Tiffany on in the chat room, and she will get you reconnected back. But so until we get Rene back, we're going to go ahead and continue our discussion with Rick Rowe. And we had a question in chat from Rick Hanhan over in Australia. And he was asking about back when you had the black van show up. Now, this is something that's very interesting to me because I actually know an investigative team that is out of the Fresno area, and they report on all of the different, sightings that they have there. And he started a radio show, and he was, really having people in the area keep a lookout. And, they would they had a hotline and everything so that people could call in. And all of a sudden, he started being followed by these black vans and actually got a few pictures of them and different things. So, and we see that when people are really kind of putting information out, when it's something of no interest and nobody's listening, they don't really seem to care. But if you've got an audience like we do, it starts to put up some red flags. Now, Rick was asking, did you go out to the van or try to, see why they were there or anything?
He came to my door, and here is what I thought. I didn't answer my door because this is the way I look at it. If I don't know you, I'm not answering. I'm not going to give you a chance to put a bullet in my head. Now, if you want to put a bullet in my head, then pull the trigger or get out of my way. But the thing is that the person was in a black vehicle. It had some weird markings on it. My son was home. He was pretty frightened because he said, Dad, there's a vehicle parked out front, and he described these things towards the back of the black truck. It was shiny. It was black. It looked like a government vehicle. And the guy, it was strange because when he left my house after knocking, he tried to duck below the windows and run. And I thought, why is he being so shady? What's going on here, So I do believe there's government intervention because actually that's what I've been doing is arguing with the government, trying to everything the government's putting out on their national site, I'm putting against. I'm like, no, it's not, because you have the 12th and the 28th, the objects are the same. They're obviously a saucer-like or orb-like craft. The corona, there's actually a couple coronas. There's like two coronas, and then you got the center of the craft. It all glows outward. It's equally distributed. So the 12th and the 28th is when it really heated up, when the government denied my footage. They didn't deny me. They didn't say my name specifically, but they tried to say, oh, it's just, burning satellites and stuff. And they were telling other people that. And then the news all of a sudden, Reno, went from UFOs in the skies to saying that all the sightings can be explained. But when I filmed on New Year's, that was a different object. It was a totally different size. And when I got on January 3rd, when I ran outside, I had seen what really got my attention is the object may have been 14,000 feet up, but it was a large object, mothership size, because I can generally measure how big something is by looking at it, and it was huge. And I seen why I call it a mothership is because I seen a smaller craft leave it, and I was like, oh baby, I got to grab the camera, And I went out there and I started filming, but they don't like this because that object, 3 colors of purple, 3 colors of blue, strobes the 3 purples, strobes the 3 blues, goes back to the 3 purples. And it's hovering like left to right, and it's ascending. And so, you know, the government is going to send out, they're going to watch certain people like that, because we're the ones that can bring forth contact and the truth. They don't like that. They want to keep a lip on it. And even like Britain, even though they have declassified their UFO documents, that doesn't mean they declassified all of them. So even if we say to the government, hey, I want full disclosure, they're going to say, yeah, right. And even if they give full disclosure, they're still never going to give you all the documents, because there's been multiple UFO crashes. These things do crash. They're not 100% reliable. Yeah, they're technologically advanced, but, you know, mechanics and technology does break down. And as soon as it crashes, because I've had someone report to me, I've had 2 people report to me crashes where the military went out, picked up all the debris within a half hour, and was out of the area. They work fast, methodical. They're very, they're just very intelligent, and they watch people, especially someone like me, because I know where the UFOs are happening. It's over, it's like right, there's the bend between Nevada and California. It's in that bend. That's where they're all appearing. And so, you know, probably this month I probably will get more footage. It's probably going to be inevitable. They keep returning. It's like they're looking for something. And you were talking before you went to break about missing persons and things like that. It's like that could be very well why there's combing the area. They're looking for people that they can take forever. And it might be someone broken down on a road at night. It might be somebody, you know, off-roading off in the high desert, because Nevada has thousands of dirt roads. They go off into canyons, mountains, up to mines, ghost towns, and you get in those secluded areas, you can in the night sky, you can see everything. You can even see UFOs. Right. You can see, me and Tammy were out one night out in the middle of some ghost town about 3 in the morning, 15-mile dirt road, got back by the ghost town. We were exploring some abandoned buildings, and we seen an object. And then one time when I came out of a mine and I was walking to the vehicle, a UFO flew straight down at us. I thought it was the end of my life, because it flew straight at us, and it immediately, right when it was about to like hit the top of the mountains in front of us, there's these mountains, right when it was about to hit the ridge line, it just went right back off into orbit. And, I mean, it went so fast off into orbit, this thing probably was going 5,000 miles an hour, because it came down as a white and blue light really fast, and I'm like, whoa, you know, and then all of a sudden, it's like it didn't even stop to turn around. It's like it just curved back around and went up into space. And I seen it go up into space. And I'm like, that ain't no government object, you know? That's something from another world visiting us. But being out in the desert, and when you're out there at night, that's the place for UFOs. I mean, you know, I've been out by Area 51. I've seen UFOs. I've seen 2 UFOs in one night at Area 51. And I'm not exactly in the base, but in the desert, the miles and miles of desert, in secluded areas. And I've seen these things, and I know they exist, and I've probably had a couple sightings of aliens, too, in the desert. I've seen 2 different creatures near the Valley of Fire, which is southern Nevada. One was like on 2 legs. I mean, it was bipedal, and it was like an alien, but I got only a quick glimpse, and it cloaked itself. It's like completely disappeared. And I'm just like, now we got this thing running around. We can't even see this thing. And then, of course, there was a little creature about 3 feet tall in the bushes one time. And, you know, I don't run a big team, but I had some girl that said, you know, I'll give the whole aliens thing a try. And we took her out to this historic site where there's petroglyphs and things. Mm-hmm. Sat down, and she said, I got to use the bathroom. Went about 300 feet, stopped at the bushes, and I was up on the stairwell studying the petroglyphs, and I smoked me a bowl, and I looked down, and I see her, like, running scared for her life. And there's a restroom on the property. It's a very ancient site, but they do put a restroom so people aren't going to the bathroom at the site. And she runs to the bathroom, and she's, like, in there for 10 minutes. I'm like, what the hell's wrong? Packed up my gear, and I go past the bush. The bush is rattling. It's this tree, and it's thick in foliage. It's in the desert, and it's shaking like crazy. I'm like, what the hell could be in there, man? And I'm just all like, I just got done smoking a bowl, I was relaxed, and I was having a good time under the stars, and next you know, I shine my light into this creature's eyes. It's like 3 feet tall. It could be alien. I did a show one time about it. I said it's maybe a skinwalker, but more and more it was a creature, and it was a 3-foot creature, and it didn't belong in the desert. And so what I'm thinking is that I came face to face with an alien. And I looked at it for a long time, like I was frozen for like 5 seconds staring at this thing. I looked at its eyes, like its eyes were just so deep, And I backed off really slow, and I turned and I walked to the parking lot, and she wasn't in her truck. I couldn't find her anywhere. I ran to the bathroom. She locked herself in a stall. She was bawling her eyes out. She's like, I don't want to do this work with you anymore. That's why we don't have investigators. We can't keep them, because when this kind of thing happens, nobody wants to be on my team. And I said to her, I didn't try to tell her what I seen. I said, did you see something in the bushes? Because I said, I said, I was just up there waiting for you and you disappeared, and I was like, I'm worried about you. And she's all like describing to me what she's seen. And how she's like, yeah, she goes, it might be small, but it's extremely powerful. And that's what people don't understand. You could get a 2-foot-tall alien, because they've caught and mummified aliens that are only a foot tall and things, where science won't study them, and they might be that small, but their brain is so much more powerful than ours. And I couldn't even snap the camera to take a photo of this thing. It's like it looked at me, and it said, you are not going to take a picture of me. It was talking to me, and I didn't take a picture. I had my camera right in front of me, and I could not snap it, and not because I was afraid, because it was, for me, it was like, wow. When I got to the parking lot, about 50 feet from that bush, I was like, no, it can't be. I was in denial until this girl, and I taped it on audio, because I run a recorder on all my investigations, and I taped the conversation, and the conversation took place in the bathroom, and she's on my website. I put the recording up. She's like, I pissed my pants. She's like, that's how scared it scared me. It scared her enough where she went in her pants. And for me, it didn't scare me, but it really bothered me for months after I seen it. It just was very, like, I carried it as a burden. Because it's like, I know what I seen, I know what I came face to face with, and you can try to deny it as much as you want, but when seeing is believing, and when you see a being in front of you that does not belong on this world, what can you say? There's nothing you can say, because people are going to think you're crazy. Some people probably think he's insane, he's smoking too much bud. That ain't the case. I had one of the highest IQs in my school out of 600 kids. And I still have probably a very high IQ out of most adults. But I came face to face, and I could see the one thing I learned about it is it has enough power to make you do things that you shouldn't do. And what I should have been doing is photographing it, and it stopped me. I could not press that button. And it had a lot of mind power, Christina. Its mind was more powerful than you and I put together. It was like, here I am, you're looking at me, I'm the boss. And it bossed me around, basically, and it sent me on my way. And, of course, I had to get her to come out of the bathroom. She wouldn't even come out of the bathroom. She was stuck in the bathroom, scared to death.
Well, yeah,
scared.
I mean, just imagine. It's like, especially for somebody who doesn't really believe in any of this stuff, and they're like, okay, I'll play your game and, go see what you're talking about, and then have something so frightening, personally happen to them. I absolutely can see where that happened. And just so that I can make it clear, because, I know that there's a lot of, or actually not a lot of people, but there's a few people that, trash you online because of the fact that, you're very open about the fact that you smoke marijuana. Here in California, it is legal with a prescription, and Rick does have a prescription. He has multiple medical issues, so, it's not like he's just going out and abusing it. It's medicinal, and, once again, I just want to make that clear because I don't want anybody saying, oh, yeah, well, he's out there, getting high. No wonder he's seeing aliens, because that's not the case at all. So I just want to make that clear. But, Rene, do we have you back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, great. Your connection is much, much better. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. We'll go back for a minute to the disappearances, because I was actually just reading an article last night that I was getting ready to post, and I know that there has been a book, actually 2 books written called Missing 411, which is about all the disappearances in our national parks, nationwide, and they'll find, children that were, camping with their parents and, like 2, 3, 4 years old, all of a sudden, just within a blink of the, eye, all of a sudden we've got, they're gone, and the parents can't find them anywhere. They bring out search patrols. I mean, they're just like, especially when it's children, looking everywhere for them, and they can't find them. And then maybe the next day or so, they find the children like on the other side of the mountain range, or somewhere in different clothing or without their clothing. And, it's been freezing cold all night, but yet they don't have hypothermia. All these very strange things that have happened. But there was a story that was, is readily available on the internet if you search it. But it was talked about by a person who claimed to work at Area 51. And, many people over the years have been coming forward, even though, their lives have been threatened, their families have been threatened, things like that. What they were seeing that was happening and what was going on there was just too much for them. And so they were just like, I don't even care, and shared the stories. And one was from somebody who was working there as security there, and, had very high clearance in the military, and he was told that he was going to be responsible to watch over this one area of Area 51, which housed so-called people who were crazy, who they were, legally insane. And they were saying, that they're trying to take these people and find experimental drugs that would, then cure them of, all these illnesses of that were causing them to be insane. And so they said, no matter what you do, no matter what these people tell you, you must not interact with them. Because if you do, it will ruin, all of the data, all of the research that is being done. And he said for a long time he did. He said he saw people of all ages, all different, things. They were being held in cages. Very sickening details. And he said, but there was this one man, and for whatever reason, this man was able to really somehow connect with this, military officer. And he had turned around and said, look, he told him who he is, and he's like, I need your help, and, the guy didn't want to listen, and he said, please, listen to me. I am, I know that they're, trying to tell you not to interact with me. I was taken. I've got a family. This is my name. I'm not even asking you to believe me, but when you get home, please check. Do some research yourself and find out, and try to help me. And so he gave him the information, name of his family, all these things, his children, all this kind of stuff. And it was bothering this, officer so badly that when he went home, he had gone on and did some research and found that this man that name and all the address and everything that what he said had been reported missing and presumed dead. And it really, really bothered, the officer. So, he went back the following day, saying, I'm going to try to help this guy or whatever, and went back. And the following day, now obviously, in Area 51, we also know that, the technology is very, very extensive, and, they have audio and video everywhere. And they have, seen that this man had talked to this officer. And when he went back, this guy was gone, nowhere to be found. And they had relocated this officer. They had demoted him or whatever. And, he was so upset that, later, a few years later, he decided to, share this story. And, I 100% believe that, this actually could be happening. Now, in these park reportings, there are people that, go missing, and they'll put search parties out, and they will come across, clothing that police officers have reported in interviews, saying that it looked as if somebody just melted into the ground or something, and their, clothes were like just as if they had just dropped right off their body. Some of them were neatly, folded. Other times, people would come back with different clothing than what they, had left in, if they came back at all. But it became such a big issue that this one guy who is the author of Missing 411, which I'm going to try to get him set up to come on the show as well at some point and talk about his book and the research he did. And he did, he was researching for years. And, there was so many people missing and so many people that, were coming back with some, really amazing, well, to the rest of the world, crazy stories, but to me they're very amazing. And so there's definitely, I think, there's good and bad in everything. So just like there's good and bad people, I would definitely agree that there would be good and bad aliens. And so some, are here to help us, some are here to destroy us. And from what I've gathered is that, the government has known about these aliens for a very, very long time. And, that they actually have, like a treaty or an agreement where, in order to exchange technology for the ability for them to be able to abduct and use our citizens, for their research and things like that. And we notice that a lot of people who are homeless go missing all the time, but because there is nobody out there looking for them or cares about them, they're the perfect targets, and, Rene, I know that you probably don't know Rene's story, but he's got an amazing story of his own that, I had him on my show, and, he knows a lot about Area 51 and the things that are going on. And, what I'm reporting, Rene, it's very, in your opinion, is exactly like what's going on, right?
You're right. There are those who, say if they're driving along, extraterrestrial highway and they, turn off where the black mailbox is, and then when they follow the road back there, and they get to where they get close to the sign and so forth, and if you're riding alone, it gives them an opportunity for those at the base to take you from there. You don't even have to cross that imaginary line that they got that you're not supposed to cross. That they'll take you anyway to do the experimentations and stuff like that. So you automatically become a disappearing factor. So,
I've been to Area 51. I don't know how many times you've been there, but I've only been there once. And they didn't take me because I had a big group of people, but they chased me out of there. They did. They didn't want me back there. They were pissed off. But I also antagonized them too. I stood right on the invisible line, and like I mooned them. They shot the lights on me, so I mooned them. I was kind of being a prick to them. I just wanted to see how far I could push their limits. And they did not chase me until I parked 3 miles down the road, and then they chased me. Maybe they would have kept me. Maybe they would have kept whoever was with me so that we could become the next experiments on aliens. I don't know. I don't know if people are kept there. I don't know.
Because there's a lot of times, though, their excuse with their authorities that are around there is, people disappear in the desert all the time, like traveling off the roads, and so it's not, they kind of make it, it's not a big factor. It happens all the time. But they use that line to cover up their story of their tracks, to, hide the truth of what they're doing to these, onlookers that get, curious to see what Area 51 is all about. Just the idea of driving down those back roads, it's a perfect target for them. So if you're riding alone, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, you're right.
When I was there, when I was there in 2005, I had just gotten married at the time and spent my honeymoon at Area 51 in Rachel. And so of all places for us to go, so we drove up the road and, we found the mailbox, and then we followed the road and, parked up where the sign was, and we could see the security sitting up on the hill, revving his engine. And so we got back into the car, and my wife at the time was driving, and we were pulling out, and then we backed up and then pulled out again. Then we backed up. Next to it, he turned his vehicle around facing to where we were as we were coming around the bend. And so after we decided to go ahead and leave, head for the main road, and then we could see the dust trail following right behind us. They're in pursuit. And so we ended up going through the little alien and got inside and ordered some food. And next you know, the clerk there was looking out the window and said, "What are they doing down here?" And then we look out the window. Oh, crap. They were right behind our car looking at our license plate. Then, we just kind of sat down and just kind of chilled, and hopefully they'll go away. Well, later in the day, they came back and noticed our car was moved to one of the trailers where we were staying at. So they knew we were actually staying there. So they do go to the extent and try to check you out. We did get a lot of calls, great calls from them. Just kind of, they had all the information, our phone numbers, and everything. So they do keep really strong track of you, where you are, where you live, and all that stuff. So, we were happy.
I've known a colonel that works at Area 51 with high clearance, and they don't like to talk about their work at Area 51, but I will say one thing. He worked at Area 51. I swam in his pool. I had barbecue chicken. I smoked cigars. He was an all right guy. So maybe he didn't know about the missing people, because certain people within Area 51 have certain jobs. Not all of them get access to all the hangars. Not all of them get access to all the underground bunkers and what's below, which is probably city-like below, because back in the 70s, a lot of Vietnam vets I've talked to said back then they had huge underground military bases. He said, can you imagine today how big they are? So could they house people underground? Yes. You'd never see them. There's no access to them. It's just an underground project. Nobody's ever going to find out about it. But my ties with the government have been very close. Like I said, they chased me out of Area 51 too, but I was in a sports car, and there's no way they were going to catch me. And when I got on the concrete, I kept going. I didn't stop. I was at the little Alien Inn drinking beer and playing pool, and I know about that place. It's great. They have all kinds of alien...
great place.
Yeah, it's an awesome place, but it's out in the middle of nowhere, and I went to eat there first because I knew I was going to Groom Lake, and I'm like, I didn't know if they were going to chase me. So I didn't know, but it did end up happening. So I ended up going straight for Vegas because I lived in Vegas for a few years, and I did not stop. I kept going, and I left them in the smoke. But But you're right. They do follow you. They will check your plates. You could get, prank calls. They could harass you. I mean, I went looking for UFOs. I was one time, I'm kicked off at Cape Canaveral, but I did a UFO investigation on Cape Canaveral. I got really close to the space shuttle. Like the space shuttle was like right in front of me, I went on all these little islands, all these little alligators looking at you and big ones and stuff. But after I did the investigation and after the guys that I was with got the military involved, they actually gave themselves up to the military. I'm like, guys, we're like a mile from freedom. Let's hike out of here. And they turned themselves in because they didn't think that they could, walk out of the place. But we were walking out of the place, and I had a gun put to my head by the military.
Oh, my God.
It was fun.
I hate to interrupt you two, but I was just notified we've got like 25 minutes left, and we've got a whole queue full of callers wanting to call in and either comment or call. So we've got somebody on the line, so I'd like to get as many of the callers as we can, just so that, they are not sitting on hold forever. First one that we have is, do we have the caller on? I'm sorry, Dr. I'm not sure.
James Russell.
Thank you, Dr. James. How are you?
Good, thank you. You can call me Jimmy, though. Feel free to call me Jimmy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a question, comment?
Just kind of a comment, really. I've got two comments, really. One of them is from a former student of mine about maybe 22 years ago, actually, now that I think about it. I mean, it really depends, though. Whatever 1991 it's considered, 22, 23, you can understand, for sure. Former student of mine, his name is Jared Tegathad, Asian student of mine at the University of Topkack. I mean, it's a little bit personal, really. He had a run-in, and I didn't believe him at first, actually. University of, it's now known as Waterloo. There's a farm very close to us, and this guy, he had been walking home drunk from a bar, and he was with rather sober people, too. What had happened was there had been some lights shining in the sky, and unidentified by Canadian authorities, by multiple authorities, really. And it hadn't been notified, no one had known, etc., etc. And this particular student said he had hidden. He was frightened, actually, just because it had landed in this clearing, and with no other notifying, no nothing. There were these extraterrestrials throwing this large rock or something like that, and they had appeared to be wearing some kind of headwear. They had hair coming from the bottom of their heads rather than the top, but they were throwing rocks back and forth amongst each other, almost joyously. Really, it was the weirdest thing. And no, it was, and it was. All I can say is I can't say this because I was not part of that viewing party. But these guys who had hair coming from, I guess you could say, the bottom of their necks, and these kind of, he described them as fedoras from the top of their head. He reported them to me, and I didn't say anything, at least for the longest time. And then I would say maybe about 6 months ago, I did, and this is 22 years ago. I not considered any kind of legitimacy behind this, because this is my first year in my professorship. I'm now 47. Really, let's be honest here. I was 25 at the time. I didn't take this seriously. Oh, wow. And right. I consider this to be some kind of conspiracy. I never really gave any headway to this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I really can't explain it, because something very similar to the description of what this young man said. I mean, he probably question my legitimacy now. But it was the exact same thing. There was this, I was a little bit more clear, I got to see it, and I can only imagine that my description of these guys was clear. They were about maybe 7 foot tall, but they were rather wide set. I would say maybe 350, maybe 400 pounds. They had hair spreading from the bottom of the heads, not the top. But they were throwing, I can only suggest maybe rocks or something, rather joyously. It was not something that I would consider to be orthodox, but it was weird. And then the moment I was about to report this actually to my university, it was the weirdest thing, because the moment I reported this to to the dean of science at my university, I won't disclose his name just out of personal security. He disregarded it immediately. He said, this isn't something to consider. This isn't something that you should really pay mind to, at Dr. Russell's, really. And I had been told, Dr. Russell's, this is not something that you should do. You should not pursue it any further. And
that makes actually a lot of sense.
The more I pursued, if I may continue though, the more I pursued this, the more I became worried. I became scared almost, and I had locked myself in my house for maybe 2 weeks at least. And I had heard on police reports and police scanners that there's reports of 400 pound, 7 foot tall men with large beards, throwing, or at least it was beards. It could have been whatever. I don't know. But they had been throwing rocks. They had been throwing, the euphoria was almost intensifying, really. And I had stayed scared. No one was believing them, because as soon as it was reported, it was immediately dismissed, like that. It got to a point where I brought it up with the dean of science, and he shut it down right away. Before I could say anything, I filed the report. It was a 25-page report, and usually any page reports over 3-4 pages are even considered or even something. But no, this was just immediately dismissed. And I've been pursued for the last maybe, I would say, 6 weeks by people. I don't want to pinpoint particular government agents. I don't want to pinpoint multiple people, but it's been back and forth. There's been a large African American man. He goes by the name of Shrek. There's been a small Jewish man who goes by the name of Isaac. I mean, there's been multiple people that have been back and forth. There's been a number of different people, different races, different ethnicities. I can't quite pinpoint. I'm scared. I'm acting out of pure fear now. And I mean, if anyone out there can hear me now, I'm using this from an anonymous proxy right now. If anyone can please hear me. No, my name is. Sorry, I'm trying not to break down. Jeez, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh my gosh! I mean,
no.
I
feel you don't know what it's like to feel alone. Really?
Oh, I do.
Really?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we actually do.
What it feels like to be alone.
No, but I just dropped my pasta on the floor.
No.
I'm just. Oh God. No. Sorry. No, my it's Dr. Jimmy Russell's, and if any of my work gets published, please let me know. I'm sorry. Please don't hang up on me though.
I won't, Dr. Russell. And in fact, I would love, to actually have you come back on the show and dedicate a show to you. I find what you're saying, very interesting, and I do get what you're saying. And I would love to connect you not only with myself. But Rick and Rene's got an amazing story of himself, so you'd be surprised of how much we understand what you're going through. And when you do go through these things, and have a personal experience yourself that shakes you to your core, which we can tell that
you don't know what it's like to be alone. I feel so isolated right now. I've been isolated from my university alone. I can't do this. From every academic institution, I thought my student was a fool for ignoring this, and I ignored it too for the longest time. And then when I had reported it, when I had reported multiple things that happened, one after another, and I mean, even the dean, Dr. Isaac Goldstein, had reported that. I completely, it was just, I'm sorry, I've never felt so alone in my life. I'm sorry.
Well, I would hope that,
I'm really struggling right now to even continue. Right. You can understand, though, because other people will call in making reports or doing whatever. I've made reports several times. Mm-hmm. This is not, this is a cry for help almost. It's become something different. It's become almost a plea in the wind. Yeah. I mean, I would love to hear if anyone else has anything to say about this. I would
like to add something. I know what you're talking about, because when I was caught on base a few months later, some normal-looking guy approached me, and all he would do is talk about what I seen on base. He says, there's no aliens or UFOs. He said there's only alligators there. And this guy found me. He found me. And if you are being threatened or followed, or they found you, I want you to know that a lot of their threats are empty. Because I was told. I've stood up to them. You got to stand up to them, man.
I was told, they're bears, or they're deers, or they're whatever. I'm like, no. What I saw, I know what I saw. And I disregarded this poor bastard when he reported it. And 22 years later, when I saw it for myself with my own eyes, I was sober. I saw everything when it happened. It was different. I had ravioli. I just dropped it. It was just, even then, I'm sorry. I can't. No one's taking me seriously when I report it.
Well, you know what? I apologize for the fact that, these people didn't take you seriously. This is the problem out there. But this is exactly why, we have shows like the ones that we do. And I would 100% offer our help to you, Dr. Russell, as well as our friendship, and to show you that you are not alone. We all are very, very connected. A lot of us have very similar stories and experiences, and we get it. We understand, and we've been there. And I will tell you, to be able to be linked to people that do understand, they do believe you, they will give you the support and, the lending the ear and, try to help you through this. This is what we're here for.
I appreciate it. No, you guys
truly hope that I will put our links through. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but I will put the links, as well as I will put out my email address as well. And I beg that you utilize that. Send me your information, and I will get in contact with you. I have a private Rene and I have a private UFO group.
You know who I am. I am Dr. Jimmy Russell's, right?
Yes. Yes. So okay. I'm going to, I really, like I said, I am putting, my hand out to you to offer you support and help of whatever way we can. We don't think you're crazy. I am a psychic medium. I can feel, I literally, it's breaking my heart, feeling, what you're feeling right now. So, you can
feel, that's so much. Really, this is the fact that you can feel my pain. I felt I've had nothing. Please just heal me something right now, because the only animals I've seen for the last 3 days have been like rabbits, coyotes, and mudkips. It's just been horrible.
Well, you can also contact me if you need help, and you can type Lord Rick in Google, and I am everywhere. So there's a million ways to get a hold of me. Like I said, just Lord Rick, because I have other people that are in pain too, and that are getting harassed and are scared, and we're here to help too, just as much as Christina and Rene and anybody who's probably listening to this show right now who feels passionate about this type of thing, and that includes aliens, time travelers, perhaps. Call them whatever you want to call them.
So would you say though that Lord Rick is like love? Lord Rick is life. I mean, Lord Rick is the guy right now. I mean,
I run forums. I'm on Facebook. When Christina posts her information on her wall, I will reply back with my information. The thing is that there's a lot of people who know me for years and years of research that we've done, and there's a lot of people who are just getting to know me. And I make it easy for people to find me. You know, they can type in my name and they're going to find me. They're going to find my forum, whatever. And so we do that kind of on purpose, you know. So if you need to contact me, we're more than happy. You know, you're not alone. Nobody is really alone. You might think you're alone, but a lot of people have had similar
I have
things.
never felt more alone, though. Really, it's really and honestly, I've never felt more alone.
Yes,
I would not open up. I'm an academic. Like I was a leading researcher of Topkack University in Canada for the longest time, and it's just I've been discredited as soon as I made my claims. A number of things have just happened. It's just I've fallen apart lately.
Everybody gets discredited time to time. I put out some of the best videos. I got discredited.
My life is falling apart, son. There's no... Like, I was replaced by a giant man named Shrek, for fuck's sakes. It's just been... Well, that's his clan name. I mean, he was... Yeah, I'm not going to get into any kind of racial connotations. But,
right. Well, I have in the chat room, I have posted all of our Facebook pages, and I'm under, you can send me an email at paranormalinvestigator916@gmail.com, and I will get you everybody's information. You know, like I said, I just want you to understand that, you know, if you need our help, we're here. That's what we're all here for. You know,
I can't thank you guys enough. You've been...
Oh, you're so very welcome. You are so very welcome. You just don't even understand. You know, and I hate to cut you off because I do have a bunch of other callers that are waiting, but I sincerely ask you to contact me after the show. I will get you everybody's information, and we will do whatever we can, and I'd love to have you back on the show to, you know, discuss all of this in detail with you, because I think that you are going to see that you are not alone. Although you feel alone, that's what they want us to feel like. But we are going to show you the strength and how much you're not alone. All right?
No, I know that I'm not alone. I mean, I know that there is some kind of doge looking over us and watching us, and I don't feel alone at all. So, I mean, I'm not alone. I'll be sure to contact you, though, and
absolutely.
May the Doge watch over us, though. Thank you.
There
very
you go.
much.
Well, you're very, very welcome. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
I do appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, everybody. We got about 8 minutes left, and wow, that's
I got two things I want to cover before the 8 minutes, but I will keep them brief. I'll keep them really brief. So you let me know when I can come forward with it.
Go ahead let's go ahead and do it now. Okay.
Well, I want people to know that I know two places where there's underground alien tunnels, and our group wants to infiltrate them and go in. And if you think, we didn't discuss it tonight, but aliens also live underground. They don't just fly above our Earth. They live underground. And sometimes these UFOs that we're seeing are picking up and dropping off. Just like I believe that they were over the Sierras on the 28th. They were low to the Sierras. I think that the reason why I'm not finding any Bigfoot, or I seen one, is that I think that they are like alien pets. And those are the two things I just want to say, is that there is an alien and Bigfoot connection, but there's also an alien Earth connection too, where some are just underground. Maybe that's where these missing people are going. So I just, I want people to know. I mean, I've known some cases, one case where two people went underground to do such an expedition, and those two people did not come out vanish forever. And so it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. But I've been wanting to do an alien tunnel, and you got to know where to go, and sometimes you got to take a sledgehammer and break down a wall. You got to do what you got to do. But when you go in places like that, it becomes dangerous. That's why the government's on to people like me, because I publicly announce what I got in my hands, and they want to know what I'm up to. So, you know, Jimmy getting discredited and threatened, that's what they want, and you can never discourage from, you know, you got to believe. That's our statement, is believe, you know, because, I mean, the truth's out there, and if you see it in front of you, you know you're not crazy. It doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks. As long as you've seen it and you know what you saw, that is all that matters. So that's my whole point to the whole thing, you know, and you can go on with the show. I just want to make sure I said those two things in case I go in some tunnels and I am never seen again. I want people to know that that's why, because I dared to go deeper than what most men would do.
Well, you know what, when you know, we'll definitely talk off air about this because, you know, I think that we can definitely have a good discussion about this. And actually, Rene and I want to do a show on the underground bases. So maybe, you know, I'm telling you, you're going to end up being a regular on my show, I have a feeling. But we can have you come and do a roundtable discussion on that as well. Sure. But, yeah, definitely when it's time, you know, for you, you know, to go and do this, you know, I would make sure that you do have a big group as you can, and let as many people, you know, privately know where you're going and all of this before you leave, so that if anything was to happen to you and your group, there are plenty of people that can, you know, bring this to the forefront and get it out there.
It's true, and but that's the thing. The type of projects that I have are projects nobody wants to do because they are pretty extreme. I think big, you know, but they're extreme places. And I always thought, man, I'll just go in the place myself. Last year, this guy quit on me. He didn't want to go in the tunnels. Got scared about doing it. I said, I don't care. I'll go myself. I'll load my shotgun with all its shells, and I will go down into these tunnels, and if something's a threat to me, I will shoot it. I don't give a crap. But that's the difference with me. I just don't care. Let the government stop by my house. You know what? You want to smoke some herb? You want to smoke some herb? Move on. I don't care because I know what's real. I know what's out there, and I've seen it. I've seen Bigfoot. I've seen UFOs. I've seen aliens. What else can I say? I've been at this for years and years and years, and you're going to get threatened. You're going to get discredited. It doesn't matter. I know what I've seen. That's all that matters. But, yeah, I'll definitely join a future discussion on the whole underground alien being type of thing. I think that would be really awesome because I have a lot of information on that too.
Yeah, I actually was just sent a bunch of very interesting documents, and I'll have to share them with you. I just received them last night, but yeah, some very, very interesting things that are not readily available just out there on the internet. So we'll definitely talk about that. We've got about 2 minutes, so I would love for you to give out your information, your YouTube channel, anything, and then we'll also put it out on the Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page as well, so if people don't get a chance to catch it all.
It's www.paranormalghostsociety.org. It's not ghost with an S, it's just ghost, then society.org. And my YouTube channel is youtube.com, AngelOfThyNight, Night, N-I-G-H-T. And that's my YouTube channel. That's my website. You can always email me through there. My Facebook, it's AngelOfThyNight. I'm on Google Plus communities as Lord Rick, and our organization is called the Paranormal Ghost Society. So you can get a hold of us through any of them. And as Christina was saying earlier, we're all not alone. We're all here to help. And if you need to contact me and you need my help, I'm the guy you want to contact. I will help you. I won't turn you away.
Absolutely. And Dr. Russell, I'm sure you're still, listening out there. And, as I said, I, promise you as well as Rene and Rick has just said, that our friendship, our support, everything is here. So I don't want you to, feel that way. We're out of time, but thank you, Rene, for tonight for co-hosting. We'll be back next week and, with another great story. I'm just so overwhelmed by all of this. But thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you, Rick. We'll talk to everybody next week. Thank you so much.
Good night.